Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and today we are going to talk about the practical aspects of how you can score good marks in an exam by writing the best possible answer. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. At the very first onset, I would like to state that this video is not meant for those who have not practiced their papers or who have not studied well throughout the year or throughout the semester or whichever class you are in. If you have not studied well, if you have not invested your time in your studies, then this video is not for you, because this video is not any sort of tips and tricks where I give you some shortcut tips or shortcut tricks to get good marks. So this is not one of those videos. Here I am going to talk about the practical aspects, that if you have studied well, if you have prepared yourself for the exam, then how you should sit in the exam paper and how you should write the answers, how you should approach the question paper. Those are the aspects that I am going to talk about here, so that you can get the best possible outcome from that exam. So if you are someone who has not practiced well, or if you are someone who does not want to invest their times in their studies, then this video is not for you, unfortunately. So what I would like to suggest to you, that you stop the video here and you can leave the video. But if you are someone who has invested your time in your studies and you want to know how to give the exam in the best possible way, then make sure you stay tuned and watch the whole video. So take a pen and paper and start writing down the points that I am going to mention here, because I assure you these are going to be really important in your exam. So let's start off. The first point that we have into how you should approach an exam is write in a sequence. So whenever you get the question paper and the answer sheet, what you need to do is you need to follow a proper sequence. Suppose there are 10 questions in your exam paper, in the question paper that you get. So always start from question number 1 and go in a serial order up to question number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't start skipping around with the answers. Means once you write 1, then you go for 5, then you go to 7, then you come back to 3, you go to 4, you go to 10, you come back to question number 2. Don't do these things. So always try to focus on answering in a sequential order. Start from 1 and go up to 10. What it does is that it puts an impression in front of the teacher that the student has studied well and the student knows all the answers, and hence he or she is not getting confused while writing, and hence they are following a proper pattern of how the question has been said. In addition to that, when a teacher checks a paper, it is very convenient for him or her to check the paper if the answers are completely in accordance to the way or the sequence in which the question paper has been set. So these are some very minute details that we tend to miss sometimes. But if you start answering, and whenever a teacher gets one paper like this where the student has started from 1 and continued up to the last question, and in complete sequence, then it puts a very good impression in front of the teacher, and the teacher just gets to know that yes, the student has invested some time in studies, they have dedicated themselves towards their studies, and they want to score good marks. So this is the first thing where you put a good impression in front of the teacher, and remember this, that a good impression is extremely important while you are writing any answer. Let's move on to the next point, point number 2, and this is actually in correlation with the first point. Now there might be some students who don't know all the answers in a question paper, and it is very common. Or you may be knowing some answers very nicely, and there may be a few answers which you don't know really nicely. For example, there are 10 questions again, and you tend to know that 7 questions are there which you know really nicely, and there are 3 questions which you know it's like, okay, I can write, but I am not very confident about it. So at that point of time, what you need to do, as for example, suppose out of those 10 questions, question number 3, 5 and 7 are the ones which you are not really confident about of how to write. So what you do at that point of time, you first start with the ones that you know. So that's our second point. Write the best answers for yourself in the answer sheet at the beginning. So any answer that you know, that is known to you in the best possible way, try to write those answers at the beginning, but there also try to maintain a sequence. So as I said, answer number 3, 5 and 7 are not very well known to you. So what you need to do is you start with 1, go to 2, skip 3, go to 4, skip 5, go to 6, skip 7, go to 8, 9 and 10. Then you start with 3, 5 and then 7. Okay, so if you want to write 3, 5 and 7, then the best way is to write it at the end, because you need to keep the beginning of the paper really nice, and there also try to maintain a sequence. Don't just go on skipping around. Okay, and there is one trick that people use where they write an answer which they don't really know nicely at the middle. That is also one thing that you can use, just like you are trying to fool the teacher by putting an answer that you don't know really nicely in between two really good answers. But you can do that. That's a trick you can say that you can apply, that you know answer question number 2 and question number 4 you know really nicely, but question number 3 you are not really confident about. So what you can do is you can write 2, then put the 3 inside and then write 4. So this is one thing that you can do, but I don't recommend this because this is something that is not very honest on your part that you are doing. You are trying to fool the teacher by putting an answer in the middle which you don't really know. So this is not what I suggest or what I recommend. What I recommend is write the best answers at the beginning in a sequence and then go to the answers that you are not really confident about, write it at the end. So at least at the beginning part of the answer script, the teacher will know that okay, he or she has dedicated themselves and they know the answer. They have studied well, they know the subject matter. And what is the con of the point that I told, that in the middle insert the answer that you don't know? What happens in that case, if the teacher is meticulously checking your paper, which happens in most of the cases, if the teacher is meticulously checking, they have checked question number 1, they go to question number 2 which you have not written very nicely, and then you have 3 which is very good. The moment they check question number 2, they will think that okay, he or she has written one answer nicely, but the second answer is not that good. Maybe the student is not really of a good caliber, maybe they have not studied well, and there comes the bad impression. So if you are lucky, then the teacher will skip or the teacher will not meticulously check all the answers, which is a very rare case. But in most of the cases, teachers will be meticulously checking all the answers. So if you put any average answer at the middle, what it may do is it will hamper the other answer, the other good answer that you have written after that. So the best possible choice you have is to write the good answers at the beginning and the average answers or the poor quality answers that you have at the end. Let's move on to the third point. Third point is the construction of the answer. So now how do you construct answers? Now there are different types of questions that you get. You get short type questions, you get MCQs, you get one-line answers, then you have the short notes or those type of answers which are medium-sized answers, and then you have the long type answers. So different questions requires different types of answering. So let's start off with an MCQ or very short answer type questions. So what do you do there? Now you are given a question, and suppose you are writing an MCQ, the question is an MCQ paper and the question has been asked and given 4 options there. Now you have to write the correct answer. Now there are different types of students who are going to write the answer in different ways. As for example, suppose the answer is option C. So there are students who are going to write number 1 C, number 2 B, number 3 D, and that's their answer sheet, where they have just written the number which is the correct option. It is obviously a correct answer and they will also get 1. And there are some students who will be writing number 1, number A, and then the answer, number 2, number B, the word or the sentence which is given in the option. So you have these options. You can either write just the number, or you can write the number with the correct option along with the word or the sentence that is associated with that correct option. And there are the third type of students who write number 2, question number 1, the correct option is A, the word associated with number A. Then they go to question number 2, they write the correct option is option A, then the word associated with that option A. So similarly, you can write this answer in 3 different ways, and the best possible way or the best way to write is the third option, where you write the correct option is option A with the word. Don't just write question number 1 A, question number 2 B, question number 3 D. Don't do that, because that does not put a good impression in front of the teacher. Your aim, your ultimate aim is to make a good impression in front of the teacher. So whatever you do in the answer script, think that you are trying to build an impression in front of the teacher that you are a good student. So you have worked hard, and that's what you are trying to portray through your answer sheet. So whenever you write these MCQ answers or the one-line answers, there are some students, suppose there is a short question, very short question, no options, not an MCQ but very short answer type question, and there the student writes only a single word as the answer. And there are some students who will be writing a complete sentence to construct an answer. So it's better to construct a sentence along with the correct answer, correct word, rather than just writing the word and thinking that that will be sufficient. Obviously you are going to get the same mark. So here marking is not going to matter, because the one who is going to write a single word is also going to get the full marks, and the one who is going to write the complete sentence is also going to get the full marks. But the difference sets in when the teacher moves on to the next part of the answer sheet, when they go to the part where the student has written the long answers, the short answer types questions, or the short notes, those sort of places where the teacher has already developed an impression or a notion about the student. So now if you are the student who has written just the single word, or in the MCQ you have just written just the option number, in that case what will happen, when the teacher checks those parts, they will be thinking that okay, this student does not seem to be really sincere or does not seem to be really dedicated to their studies. It seems like the student has come to the exam just to finish it somehow and leave, because that is an impression that you put when you don't write, when you don't feel like answering in long format. Now the thing is, it is not about answering in long format, rather it is about answering in the most convenient format. So whenever you answer in a way, make sure that whenever the teacher checks, he feels really convenient to check your answer sheet. He should not be in a position where he is completely at a mess while checking your script. So make sure whatever you do, it should be easy for the teacher to check. Now don't make it hard for the teacher. Now suppose there is a topic that I have to explain to you. Now if I explain it in the easiest of way, you will be very happy with it. If I explain it to you in the most complex of way, thinking that okay, I will use these words, those words, and I will explain it to you in a way that is very hi-fi, what happens in that case, the students don't try to understand, or they don't really understand about it. Not try to, they don't really understand. And what happens there is, in order, the teacher has tried to show his overpowering knowledge to the student, but the student has not been able to grab. So if I try to make things complex for you, you are not going to be able to answer, you are not able to understand in the best possible way. So what you need to do is, when you write the answer scripts, make sure that it is written in the easiest way. Make it convenient for the teacher. If you try to make it complex, the teacher is going to have a messier mind while checking your paper, and hence the impression is going to get low. And as the impression goes low, in place where you've written a 4-mark answer, where maybe the answer is completely correct, but your impression has not been really good because of the ways you have written the other answers, you may be getting 3.5, because the teacher thinks, because of the way you have written, the teacher may think, this is not in case of every teacher, but the teacher may think that you are not dedicated enough and you are not sincere enough. So in place of giving you 4 out of 4, you may get 3.5 out of 4. So there you lose half a mark. So these half marks in every answer will add up to around 3 marks, 4 marks, 5 marks, and hence will reduce your marks. So what I was trying to say is that whenever you answer, try to make it in a good way. So first we talked about the very short answer. So I would like to suggest you that write in a construct a single sentence. I'm not asking you to write a whole paragraph for a 1-mark answer. Construct a single sentence. At least construct the sentence. Show it to the teacher that you are eager to write. You are dedicated towards your answer script. Okay, let's move on to the short answers. Means like 2-mark answers, those sort of questions. So for those answers, no need to write extra. No need to write something that is not really needed in the answer. Now there are some students who are going to write exactly to the point what the question has asked, and their answer may not be of 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, their answer may be of 2 lines. But that should contain information. The exact information that is required in the question, what the question is asking you, what the teacher wants you to answer. Write that part. In short answers where you are given 2 marks for an answer, no need to write a complete whole paragraph trying to show off your knowledge. No need to show off your knowledge in those situations. You will show off your knowledge in your long answer type questions. In short answer type questions, don't waste the teacher's time. That is another aspect. Don't waste a teacher's time while you are writing an answer. So when you write a short type answer, keep it crisp, filled with information. No need to give an introduction, then a body, then a conclusion in a 2-mark answer. Keep it to the point and keep it brief but informative. That is very important, informative. Now some students may take it in a way that sir has told to write it in a way that is crisp and small. Now they try to write it in a crisp and small way, but rather than it becoming crisp, it becomes very dull. But it is at the same time small. So what they do is they give a background of the information but not the real information. They finish it in 2 lines because they don't really know the answer. And then they will complain, well, we have been told that, or one of the person who makes a video has suggested us that you should write the answer in a small way for 2 marks answer, and we have not got marks. You have not got marks because you have not written the correct part that is required to be written. So what you need to write is the filled with information, the what information is required. If it has been asked where do you stay, you write where do you stay. Don't write about where your maternal uncle lives, where your paternal uncle lives, where your grandfather lives, where your grandmother lives. No need to go for those. No need to go for your ancestors or your relatives. Keep it to you. Where you stay, write your address. Okay, so that's the point. Now keep it small, keep it crisp but filled with information. Now let's move on to the short notes or the 3-4 mark type questions that you get. For those answers, I would prefer give the body of the answer with a very small introduction. like 1 or 2 line introduction. Don't make the introduction long. No one likes to read a big introduction. So keep the introduction small, 1 or 2 lines, then go to the main body of the answer. Okay, and try to give a diagram with every short note that you write. I'll come to the diagram part in a bit, but here I am trying to mention this because it is important. So whenever you write any short note, try to put a diagram alongside that. It does not matter which subject. It may be science, it may be social science, it may be computer, it may be mathematics. I mean, mathematics will not get short notes, but any other subject. It may be your MIL, there is your Bengali, Hindi, Assamese, whatever subject you have. Try to associate a diagram along with it. And by diagram, I don't always mean a label diagram or anything. Just give a pictorial form. Whatever you write, if you add a pictorial form of that writing, it actually enhances the beauty of your answer. It enhances the quality of your answer. So whenever you write a short note, always try to associate it with a pictorial diagram. It may be a schematic diagram, it may be a label diagram, or whatever you know. Just try to put a pictorial part of it at the side or at the bottom, wherever you want, wherever you feel comfortable. Just give a pictorial representation of what you have written. That actually enhances the quality, really enhances the quality, and it actually gives a very good impression to the teacher. So suppose you have an answer script. Put yourself in the situation of a teacher. You have got an answer script, and you see that the student has written a short note, has given a diagram with it. There were 3 short notes. The student has written 3 short notes with 3 diagrams, and you see another paper where the student has written exactly the correct answer but without any diagrams. Which one will impress you more? Obviously the one with the diagrams. So this shows directly that the student is more dedicated, student is more hardworking, and they are willing to do their best in the exam, rather than the person who has written the correct answer, obviously, but at that point, if you try to compare the 2 students, the one with the diagram goes up. So that's what I want you to do. Practice diagrams. You should not, I'm not asking you to be an artist, but what I'm asking you is to do something, to draw something that is relatable to your answer, that just boosts your answer a bit. Next, we move on to the long type answers. Now for the long type answers, there is a specific pattern that I used to follow, and I was benefited from that. Start with an introduction, 3 to 4 lines. Okay, give the context. Think of it like you are telling a story. So when you tell a story, what do? You give a context first. Then you go for the body of the story, and then you give a conclusion. So always start with an introduction, but don't pull the introductions too long. Like if I am telling you a story about a king and a queen and how they fought a war and won against their enemies. Now if I start off with there was a king and a queen. The king had 3 children. The names of the 3 children were these: X, Y, and Z. The 3 children lived in 3 different places, A, B, and C. Now these things are unnecessary information. You want to listen to the war, what happened in the war, right? So you give just the amount of introduction or the context that is required. Like that there was a king and the queen, he had 3 sons who were extremely skilled in warfare. So what happened when they went to the war, and then you tell the story. So that's how you need to construct. Keep the introduction short. There are many things. I think if you read articles, either in newspaper or in any blogs, you will see that the people who give long introductions, those are the articles that are not read much. But people who have short and crisp introductions, which are filled with information, and then they move on to the main body, that's where you enjoy it more, right? So try to do that. Try to keep the introduction short and crisp, then move on to the main body and keep the body filled with information. Don't just write anything that I want to write X, I am writing everything related to X but not X. So try to put it, all the information that you write, make sure don't write anything unnecessary. Whatever you are writing should be directly to the point. It should be associated to the point. So you are showing off your knowledge, whatever you know, you show off in that answer. The long answer type questions are your chance to show off whatever you know, but only put the things that are relevant, not irrelevant. Okay, so don't put everything you know in the chapter and put it there. If that had to be done, then why are you trying to construct an answer? Just take your book, start from the first point in the topic and up to the last point, put a bracket, memorize that one and paste it. Why don't we do this? Because if you start from the book, the first point, end it to the last point, there are many things that are unnecessary in the book. They are just meant for your understanding, not to be written in notes. That's why prepare notes, right? You prepare notes so that you can write the most important parts in the answer. So do that. Try to keep it as informative as possible. Okay, so you make an introduction, then go to the body, keep the body the longest, and then give a conclusion. Most of the students miss out on the conclusion. So it is really important to give a conclusion, because a conclusion from your part will actually portray in front of the teacher what you have actually understood from the answer, or what you have understood from that topic. It is a science topic, so you write about the long answer and then you give a conclusion that okay, from this experiment we have understood this. This actually shows the actual meaning of the answer, means what you have got or what knowledge you have gathered from that answer. Your body is good, everyone knows what is there in the body, but have you really understood what should be there or what the body was trying to mean? That comes out from the conclusion. So try to write a conclusion to every long answer. It may be English, SST, Science, Bengali, Hindi, Assamese, anything. So try to write a conclusion that puts out your understanding out to the teacher, so that he or she, whoever the teacher is, can understand that the student has really understood, or in which context have you understood. Because in case of literature, there are many ways you can understand or you can think of a situation. So your own way of concluding or conclusive answering will give a sense of or make your answer different. So that is really important. So these are how you answer a very short type, short notes, and the long type answers. So try to construct them as I have told you, because that will give you the best possible outcome. Okay, so that was about how to write answers. Now let's move on to the next part, that is diagrams. Now diagrams are extremely important, and most of the students, I mean 99% of the students, don't give a damn about this. But I am telling you, do give a damn about this, because diagrams are extremely important. I utilized this technique during my graduation and it was a master stroke from my side, because when I applied diagrams, I easily could feel that my marks were increasing. Now there may not be diagram associated with everything that you study. So if you don't have diagrams, try to add flowcharts, because flowcharts also add to the value of your answer. So if you have diagrams available, very good, draw diagrams in the best possible way. If you don't have diagrams, draw flowcharts or add other pictorial stuff that is available. And I would recommend, starting from short answers to long answers, try to add a diagram for every answer. Now you might be saying, sir, we don't have that much amount of time. Start writing faster. That is another important thing. Start writing faster. The faster you write, the more time you are going to get. Now from the very first exam that you appear, you don't need to draw diagrams for every answer. So start by practicing. For every exam, try to think that okay, last exam I had drawn 2 diagrams. It does not matter whether it is asked in the question or it is not asked. You should draw the diagram from your side. You are presenting it to the teacher that sir or ma'am, this is the way I present an answer script to you. This is the way I write, I draw. That is my representation. Your answer script represents you. So put it in the best possible way. Okay. So draw the diagram and try to associate one diagram with every answer. No need to draw a big diagram that covers a whole page. Draw a small diagram at the corner of the page. You write an answer, just like you do mathematics, put a row and draw rough diagram, do the rough here. In the same way, write the answer, leave some blank space at the right side and draw a diagram here. Short diagram, but try to relate it to the answer. What it does, or draw anything. Like suppose you are asked about to write the different types of coins in the copper age or any other type of stuff. So you write and you give a rough diagram of a copper coin. That also enhances the beauty of the answer. So whenever you read a book, if you have more diagrams in the book, it is more engaging for you to read. In the same way, in an answer script, if there are more diagrams in the answer script, it engages the teacher even more into the answer script. So it's like they get lost in the answer script, they dive into the answer script, and you will get more and more marks. You will take out more and more marks from the teacher, and the teacher will be happily giving you that. Okay, so try to put your answer script in the best possible way in front of your teacher. Okay, so pictures play a very important role. If you don't know how to draw pictures, add flowcharts, because flowcharts will give you the process. Suppose you in a science answer, you want to write about a complete process, a procedure. So you write the answer, but along with it draw a flowchart, step by step how it happens. Flowcharts will enhance the quality of your answer to a huge degree. Okay, so try to follow these. Take out diagrams. Suppose you see that okay sir, this topic does not have a diagram in my book. There is Google. You are using internet every single day. You can play PUBG on your mobile. Then you can find out that diagram for any topic easily. So go out to the internet, find out that diagram and do that diagram. Practice that diagram. Give some time to your studies and then you will reap the benefits. I hope you understand that. Okay, so let's move on to our next point. The next point is handwriting. Now this is one aspect that I think most of you will be listening to and saying, oh come on, I don't have a good handwriting, oh he is back to the old things, everyone says to have a good handwriting. But trust me, handwriting is the most essential part in your answer script. If your handwriting is not good, the moment the teacher opens your answer script and sees a good handwriting, it impresses him. And if he takes a paper and he sees a bad handwriting, at that very instant he thinks like, how am I going to finish checking this paper? That is how it goes. So if I give you a copy which is completely messed up handwriting, you won't even want to read it. And the teacher sitting at there has to check the paper, know where you have written the correct thing, know where you have written the wrong things, give you marks based on that. So keep that in mind, that a teacher has to go through each and every word that you have written, because that is a teacher's duty, to go through each and everything you have written. So don't make it tough for him or her, whoever it is. Don't try to make it tough. Try to make it as easy as possible for the teacher to check your paper. And a good handwriting will present a very good impression of yours in front of the teacher. Now there are some students who don't have really good handwriting. Now what to do for them? Like for example me, I never had a really good handwriting. So what did I do? What I tried to do was try to maintain a neat and clean paper. It was my fault that I had not practiced good handwriting at my early age. So at a point in my life where I was in my higher secondary or my graduation, I was not having a really good handwriting. So what I tried to do was try to maintain neat and clean paper. Keep space between the words, keep space between the lines. The school or the college, wherever you study, are going to supply you with papers. So you don't have to worry about how much space you are consuming. Consume as much space you need, but try to write it in a clean way, neat and clean way, so that you don't make it jumbled up. So if your handwriting is good, very good, continue with your good handwriting, improve it even further if you want. But if you don't have a good handwriting, make sure that you write it in a way that is easy for the teacher to check, or at least when you read it, you should be easily able to read what you have written. And not only your teacher, maybe your friends, so that your friends can read the thing easily and they don't have to scratch their head or tear their hair apart when they are reading the answer script. So make sure your handwriting is good. There are many students who have missed securing a position in 10th and 12th just because of their handwriting. So I request you that if you don't have a good handwriting, make sure you practice good handwriting. If you can't develop good handwriting, write it in a way that is not tough for the teacher to check. Keep it neat and clean. And if you are having a good handwriting, don't lose it, because this is going to help you in every part or every aspect of your life. Okay, so handwriting is the most important part. So that's all that I had to say about the different aspects of how the practical things work, how a teacher's mindset works when they are checking. So try to, whenever you are giving the exam, try to put yourself in the place of a teacher. So think that you are the teacher and you will check this paper. How do you rate this paper? So make this paper the best version that you can produce. Okay, and the utmost important thing is, when you write an answer script, what you should have in your mind is that this represents me, how I have studied, and what is my dedication level to my studies. So put it in front of the teacher, thinking that this will be the best answer script the teacher is going to check in the whole class. Whatever you have written, maybe you have not been able to answer 100 marks out of 100. Maybe you have answered 60 out of 100, but those 60 marks should be beautifully presented. Your presentation is the key, the most important thing while you are answering. So make the presentation really good. Don't screw up the presentation. Present your answer. Make it a really beautiful book that you would love to read. Okay, so there are different types of copies that a teacher gets. And if the copies are really good, so out of many copies, if suddenly a teacher finds a very beautifully written, beautifully well presented copy, automatically the marks go up. Automatically the marks go up. You should trust me on this. Whatever I have said, these are very minute details that I have discussed, which are not really taken care of by most of the students. So take care of those points, minute points, and see the difference they bring in your answer script. So try to follow what I have said, and I can guarantee you this will bring you better marks. But make sure you need to study. It's not that you will not study and you will get marks just by following these points. So So you need to study well, and know what you are writing. Know your subject. The better you know your subject, the better marks you will obviously score. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.